Hello and welcome back to Women's Football Talk, the YouTube channel that brings you all the latest news and stories from around the world of women's football. And today we are starting our Olympic preview, looking at all 12 teams eyeing for gold this summer in Paris. So the competition starts later on this week on the 25th of July, running through to the 10th of August, as 12 teams will be battling it out for gold. So let's have a start off with Group A, and obviously in that group is France as hosts, and they are managed by Hervé Renard, who has announced already he will be stepping down post-tournament, and their previous best at an Olympics was in London 2012, where they finished in 4th place. They also qualified for the Rio 2016 competition, however they didn't do so well there. Obviously this is a good squad that Hervé Renard has announced. You look at the likes of Eugenie Le Sommer, Amandine Henry, Sandy Baltimore, Kadidachi Diani, Marie Antoinette Katoto. The squad is filled with a lot of great players who can definitely help them go for gold. And obviously the benefits of this for France is they haven't had to do much travel in terms of getting used to the time zone as some of the other nations have. They know what it's going to be like French temperature wise and all these little bits that can help benefit to give a team that slight advantage. It can definitely help them out. Whether they can obviously beat the likes of the United States, Spain, Canada, who are reigning gold medalists, obviously remains to be seen. Whether they actually play a lot of the teams in the later stages of this competition, but on paper this is a very strong squad that Renard has, and I think it could definitely do well as a side. It's just about how can they perform on the pitch and how well they do up in the rest of their group, because it's a standard group for them. They should do well and get through to the knockout stages, but it obviously remains to be seen how they can actually do in this competition. Next up we have Colombia, who are led by Angelo Marsiglia, and how they qualified was 2022 Copa America Femenina runners up. Again, like France, they have previously participated in 2 Olympic Games, both in London and in Rio, and both times they finished at the group stages. Now this is a very interesting Colombia team. They are slowly on the rise in women's football, not as big as some of the dominant European nations or obviously the United States, but they're a team that are slowly coming better. Obviously you look at Linda Caicedo being the forefront of that. Her rise as a strong player is obviously one to keep an eye on. She's coming through at Real Madrid now, doing really well there. You look at some of the other players you got Lacey Santos, who's just moved to the Washington Spirit. Obviously Mayra Ramirez leading the line. We know, if you watch the WSL on a regular basis, what she can do at Chelsea since she joined last season. So there's definitely 1 or 2 players in this Colombia side that can make a difference for them. As the rise of Colombian football is going, you would expect them to do better at major competitions in the future. So maybe this one's just a bit too early. It is obviously their 3rd Olympic Games, but if they can do one step further than the group stages, then it's obviously a big plus for them. But definitely I think the forwards of Linda Caicedo and Mayra Ramirez can definitely make a real difference for them throughout their games that they are having to play, and they could potentially cause an upset here and there. Next up it is Canada, who are the reigning gold medal side. Bev Priestman is the coach, and how they qualified was the winner of the CONCACAF Olympic playoff game against Jamaica, where they won 4-1 on aggregate. Canada have appeared at 4 previous Olympics: Beijing, London, Rio and Tokyo, and obviously their best result was winning gold medal last time out in Tokyo, which was an absolutely fantastic time for them. This squad is again very strong squad, a lot of good players in it. You look at the likes of Jessie Fleming, Janine Becky's back now from her ACL injury, Jordan Heitemer, Chloe Lacasse, Julia Grosso. Like, it's still a very strong squad, and for me, I do think how they are playing, I think it's going to be such a hard feat for anyone to try and knock them off the perch. I do think it may be one of Germany or Spain that could potentially knock them off, but I do see Canada being one of the final 4 nations that will potentially be going for bronze, silver or gold, because I think they're just so good of how they're playing, especially just looking back at that last Olympics. Obviously, you get the look of the penalty shootout when it came and happened. And I think for them, it's going to be such an interesting tournament. Obviously, they're without the massive legend that is Christine Sinclair, who obviously retired from that, but it's still a squad that is filled with great depth and great players, and I think for anyone to try and stop them, it's going to be a very, very hard task, and you need to be at the absolute peak of your game to try and stop them from retaining their gold medal this time around. And finally, in Group A, it is New Zealand. They are led by Michael Main. How they qualified was the OFC's Women's Olympic Qualified Tournament winners. Again, like Canada, they have appeared at 4 previous Olympic Games: Beijing, London, Rio and Tokyo, and the best was back in 2012 where they were quarter-finalists. Again, this team got some players that you are obviously going to be well aware of. Anna Layat in goal, who plays for Aston Villa, Ali Riley, Millie Clegg, for those who play attention to the NWSL with Racing Louisville, and India Page Riley of PSV. Obviously, a year ago we saw them host the World Cup with Australia. They got their first win in that very emotional first game. So it's a team that is, again, like Colombia, slowly on the rise, slowly coming together, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they do. They're probably the underdogs of this group, but you never know in football, all sorts of football, whether it be Olympic, World Cup, whatnot, upsets can happen, and they definitely have a few players in this team that can cause an upset here and there. It's going to be very hard for them, but I do think they have the potential there to cause an upset. In the meantime, make sure you like and subscribe. We'll have previews of Group B and Group C out later on this week as we continue to get prepared for the Olympics. If you want to read a full preview as well, we have articles out on our website, womensfootballtalk.substack.com, so click over there to check all that out, and make sure you're following us on X, WF Talks, and Instagram, Women's Football Talk, for all the latest news and stories elsewhere in the world of women's football. In the meantime, we'll see you soon.